The Odyssey, attributed to Homer, stands as one of the cornerstone ancient Greek epic poems alongside the Iliad. This enduring work remains a staple in modern literature, captivating audiences with its rich narrative. Comprising 24 books, it chronicles the arduous journey of Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, as he strives to return home following the Trojan War. Spanning a decade, Odysseus' voyage from Troy to Ithaca is fraught with peril, claiming the lives of his entire crew. During his absence, he is presumed dead, leaving his wife Penelope and son Telemachus to grapple with the advances of numerous suitors vying for Penelope's hand. Regarded as a masterpiece of the Western canon, the Odyssey has been translated into countless languages since its inception. Its profound impact is evidenced by its continuous adaptation and reinterpretation across various mediums. The Odyssey commences in the aftermath of the 10-year Trojan War, where Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, faces prolonged absence due to his enmity with Poseidon. Meanwhile, his son Telemachus resides in the royal palace with his mother Penelope, contending with a throng of 108 boisterous suitors vying for her hand in marriage. Athena, Odysseus' patron goddess, beseeches Zeus to facilitate his return. Assuming the guise of Mentes, a chieftain, Athena visits Telemachus, urging him to seek news of his father. Under Athena's guidance, Telemachus secures a ship and crew for his journey, departing for Pylos, home to Nestor, an esteemed warrior of the Trojan War. Subsequently, he ventures to Sparta, where Menelaus and Helen, reconciled, recount their Odyssey and the fate of Agamemnon, murdered by his wife Clytemnestra and her lover Aegisthus. Meanwhile, the suitors, unaware of Telemachus' departure, plot his demise. During Odysseus' prolonged stay as Calypso's captive on the island of Ogygia, she becomes enamored with him, offering him eternal life as her husband, but he yearns for home and rejects her advances. Eventually, Zeus dispatches Hermes to instruct Calypso to release Odysseus, complying with Athena's plea. Providing him with provisions and a raft, Calypso bids him farewell as he embarks on his journey. However, Poseidon, learning of Odysseus' escape, disrupts his voyage by wrecking the raft. Yet, aided by a veil from the sea nymph Ino, Odysseus swims ashore onto Scheria, the land of the Phaeacians. Fatigued and unclothed, he conceals himself in foliage and falls into a deep slumber. Awakened by the laughter of maidens, Odysseus encounters Nausicaa, who, inspired by Athena's dream, has come to the shore with her companions. Seeking aid, Odysseus appeals to her, and she directs him to seek refuge with her parents, Arete and Alcinous. After a series of misadventures, Odysseus recounts his harrowing encounter with the Cyclops Polyphemus to the Phaeacians. Following a failed raid against the Cicones and being driven off course by storms, Odysseus and his men barely escape the Lotus Eaters and land on an uninhabited island. Hungry and curious, they enter Polyphemus's cave, where they feast on his provisions. However, Polyphemus returned and sealed the entrance with a massive boulder, trapping everyone inside, and proceeds to devour several of Odysseus' companions. To escape, Odysseus introduces himself to Polyphemus as nobody and offers him wine. Taking advantage of the Cyclops' inebriated state, Odysseus blinds him with a wooden stake. When Polyphemus cries out for help, his neighbors hear him, but assume that nobody has harmed him. To evade detection, they cling to the underbellies of Polyphemus' sheep as they leave the cave. After their escape from the island of Polyphemus, Odysseus revealed his identity to Polyphemus, which made the giant plea to his father Poseidon for vengeance, setting the stage for Odysseus's continued hardships. Their next stop was the island of Aeolus, home to the wind god, who gifted Odysseus a leather bag containing all the winds except the west wind, ensuring them a safe passage home. However, as Ithaca came into view, Odysseus's crew, thinking the bag contained treasure, opened it while he slept. The unleashed winds caused a storm that drove them back to Aeolus, who, recognizing the divine anger against Odysseus, refused to help further. Continuing their journey, they arrived at the land of the Laestrygonians, a tribe of man-eating giants. The giants destroyed most of Odysseus's ships and devoured many of his men. Only Odysseus's ship escaped destruction, as it was hidden in a nearby cove. After narrowly escaping the perils of the Laestrygonians, Odysseus and his remaining crew sailed on to the island of Aea, home to the enchantress Circe. Upon their arrival, Circe lured half of Odysseus's men into her palace and transformed them into swine with a potion that she put cheese and wine. However, Hermes, the messenger god, intervened and warned Odysseus about Circe's treachery, providing him with an herb called moly to resist her magic. With Hermes' guidance, Odysseus confronted Circe and demanded the restoration of his men, and impressed by his resilience, Circe relented and restored his crew to their human forms. Despite her initial hostility, Circe and Odysseus formed a romantic relationship during their time together on Aeaea, and Odysseus fathered children with her. After spending a year on the island, Circe provided Odysseus with instructions for his journey home. After receiving guidance from Circe and communing with the spirits of the dead, Odysseus and his crew set sail once more, navigating the perilous waters towards the island of Thrinacia. There, they encountered the sacred livestock of Helios, warned by Tiresias that consuming these animals would bring about their doom. Despite Odysseus's warnings, hunger and desperation led his men to disregard the prohibition, resulting in disastrous consequences. Following this fateful encounter, Odysseus met with the spirit of his deceased mother, Anticlea, who revealed the dire situation in Ithaca, including the presence of the suitors vying for Penelope's hand. Armed with this knowledge, Odysseus and his crew returned to Aeaea, where they buried their fallen comrade Elpenor and received further guidance from Circe. Following Circe's instructions, Odysseus and his crew successfully navigated past the siren's enchanting song, with his men's ears plugged with beeswax, and Odysseus himself bound to the mast to resist temptation. However, their trials were far from over as they encountered the treacherous passage between Scylla and Charybdis, where 6 of Odysseus's men were claimed by the monstrous Scylla. Their next challenge came upon the island of Thrinacia, where Zeus unleashed a storm that prevented them from leaving. Despite Odysseus's warnings, his starving men disobeyed the divine prohibition and slaughtered the sacred cattle of Helios. As a result, Zeus punished them with a shipwreck, and all but Odysseus perished in the tumultuous seas. Odysseus, clinging to a fig tree, miraculously survived and was washed ashore on the island of Ogygia, where he became the lover of the nymph Calypso. Having heard Odysseus's tale, the generous Phaeacians agree to provide him with more treasure than he would have gained from the spoils of Troy, and under the cover of night, they transport him to a hidden harbor on Ithaca while he slumbers. Awakening disoriented, Odysseus suspects he's been deposited on some distant shore until Athena appears, revealing his true whereabouts. She conceals his riches in a nearby cave and transforms him into an elderly beggar to assess the situation in his homeland. Guided by Athena, Odysseus makes his way to the hut of his loyal slave, swineherd Eumaeus, who extends warm hospitality and speaks highly of his absent master. Meanwhile, Telemachus sails home from Sparta, skillfully evading an ambush set by the suitors. Upon disembarking on the coast of Ithaca, he encounters Odysseus, who reveals his identity to Telemachus, and they jointly resolve that the suitors must be dealt with. Telemachus takes the lead, heading home ahead of Odysseus, who, accompanied by Eumaeus, returns to his own house, maintaining his beggar disguise. Inside, Odysseus faces ridicule from the suitors, particularly Antinous. Despite the mockery, Odysseus engages Penelope in conversation, testing her loyalty by fabricating a story about meeting Odysseus in Crete and gathering information about his recent travels in Thesprotia. Euryclea, an old and loyal servant, while washing Odysseus's feet, discovers his true identity upon recognizing an old scar. Despite her attempt to reveal the truth to Penelope, Athena intervenes to ensure Penelope remains unaware, and Odysseus swears Euryclea to secrecy. The following day, prompted by Athena, Penelope orchestrates a contest among the suitors to win her hand in marriage, using Odysseus's bow. The challenge is to string the bow and shoot an arrow through a dozen axe heads. Odysseus confidently participates in the competition, effortlessly stringing the bow and sending the arrow through the axe heads, proving his identity and prowess. With precision, he eliminates Antinous with his first shot, then proceeds to vanquish the other suitors with the remaining arrows and the help of Telemachus, Eumaeus, and Philoetius, using swords and spears. Odysseus finally reveals himself to Penelope, who initially hesitates, but is convinced by his intimate knowledge, such as how he crafted their bed from an olive tree rooted to the ground, and their reunion is marked by a tender embrace and a shared night's rest. The following day, Odysseus visits his father Laertes' farm and discloses his identity, But their meeting is interrupted by a group of Ithacans seeking vengeance for the slain suitors, led by Eupeithes, father of Antinous. A skirmish ensues but is swiftly halted by Athena and Zeus, restoring peace to Ithaca.